Remember when 8 hours of sleep wasn't just a fantasy? You used to do it every night. What happened to that deep, refreshing sleep you once took for granted? The 1970s, bell-bottoms, disco, and something else from your prime years that's mysteriously vanished. Actual restorative sleep. I've spent 30 years researching sleep patterns, and what I've discovered about why your generation has lost its slumber isn't just surprising, it was engineered. What if I told you that the crisis of sleeplessness you're experiencing wasn't an accident? That your generation, the very ones who once slept soundly, has been systematically robbed of your rest? And what if the culprits were hiding in plain sight, in your pantry, your medicine cabinet, and that device on your nightstand right now? Before we dive into what went wrong, let's establish what was right. Sleep studies from the 1970s show the average American got 7.9 hours of sleep per night. Today, just 6.8. But it's not just quantity, it's quality. The 1970s adult spent 18 to 20% of their night in deep, restorative slow-wave sleep. Today's seniors get just 5 to 7%. That's not natural aging, that's a catastrophic decline. These aren't readings from different people. This is Margaret Thompson, in 1978 at age 30 and last year at 75. The difference isn't just age, something happened in between. I met Margaret during my research. In 1975, she was a 27-year-old teacher with 2 young children. Despite the demands of work and motherhood, she averaged 7.5 hours of uninterrupted sleep. My husband used to joke that I could sleep through a tornado, she told me. Now, I haven't slept through the night in 15 years. Margaret isn't unique. She's part of a generation that once knew deep, restorative sleep and has watched it vanish over decades. To understand what we've lost, we need to understand how sleep works. Each night, we cycle through 4 distinct stages. Deep sleep, or slow-wave sleep, is where your body heals itself, consolidates memories, and clears toxins from the brain. In many ways, it's more important than REM sleep, which gets all the attention. In 1975, the average adult spent 20% of their night in this crucial deep sleep state. By 2023, that number has plummeted to just 8% for seniors. It's as if an entire generation has forgotten what truly restorative sleep feels like. Imagine living your life having never experienced deep sleep. You wouldn't even know what you're missing. The consequences extend far beyond feeling tired. Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular problems, diabetes, and depression, all linked to disrupted deep sleep. But the question remains, what happened between then and now? The answer begins in our kitchens. The 1970s marked the beginning of a radical shift in how we eat. The average grocery store in 1975 stocked about 9,000 items. Today, over 47,000. But it wasn't just variety that changed, it was chemistry. The late 70s and early 80s saw a perfect storm of new food technologies being introduced without adequate testing for long-term effects, particularly on sleep. 3 specific changes transformed our relationship with sleep forever. First introduced in 1975, high-fructose corn syrup became ubiquitous by the late 80s. Initially promoted as a cost-effective alternative to sugar, it soon dominated the food landscape. When consumed, HFCS creates a distinctly different metabolic response than traditional sugar. It disrupts leptin signaling, a hormone crucial for sleep regulation. Studies show that individuals consuming high levels of HFCS experience a 37% reduction in slow-wave sleep compared to those on traditional sugar diets. But here's what they never told you. Food scientists knew about the sleep connection as early as 1983. One internal memo reads, "Subject appears to require less sleep after 2 weeks on formula C7. Potential market applications are significant." Less sleep meant more waking hours. More waking hours meant more consumption. It wasn't just convenient, it was profitable. There were jokes in food engineering laboratories about creating the perfect consumer. Someone who's always awake, always hungry, always buying. Margaret's story mirrors what happened to most Americans. She rarely ate out in the 70s, maybe once a month as a treat. Everything was cooked from scratch. Like many Americans, her diet gradually shifted. By the 1990s, processed foods made up over 60% of her diet. It wasn't a conscious decision, she explained. Life got busier, the kids had activities, and these new convenient foods were everywhere. You didn't think about what was in them. They were just normal food. Unbeknownst to Margaret, her changing diet was silently eroding her sleep architecture. Beyond HFCS, thousands of new additives entered our food supply: preservatives, artificial colors, flavor enhancers, and more. Many were never tested for their impact on sleep. Take MSG, for example. Studies show it can increase brain activity during sleep, reducing deep sleep by up to 40%. Yet it's in countless processed foods under various disguised names. Recent research has identified a class of compounds called excitotoxins in over 70% of processed foods. These chemicals overstimulate brain cells, making it nearly impossible to achieve the brainwave patterns necessary for deep sleep. The human brain wasn't designed to process these chemicals. We're essentially running a vast, uncontrolled experiment on human sleep. But the food revolution was just the beginning. As the 1980s arrived, another force would further disrupt our slumber, this time coming from our medicine cabinets. The average senior today takes 4.5 prescription medications. In 1975, just 1.3. While many of these drugs are life-saving, almost 80% have sleep disruption as a side effect. The pharmaceutical boom of the 1980s and 90s revolutionized medicine. We developed treatments for conditions previously considered untreatable, but there was a cost we're only now beginning to reckon with. That cost? Our sleep. Take statins, introduced in 1987 to lower cholesterol. Over 40 million Americans take them daily. With most unaware, they deplete the body's natural CoQ10, essential for cellular energy and restful sleep. When we suppress cholesterol production, we also suppress the production of CoQ10, which is vital for mitochondrial function. Without sufficient CoQ10, cells can't properly power down at night. I interviewed dozens of statin users who all told similar stories. My doctor prescribed statins when I was 55. Within weeks, I started waking up at 3 a.m., unable to fall back asleep. No one connected the dots for years. Clinical studies now show that up to 40% of statin users experience sleep disruption, yet this side effect is rarely discussed during prescription. As America's sleep deteriorated, a new category of medications emerged: prescription sleep aids. By the early 2000s, they had become among the most prescribed drugs in America. The tragic irony is that most sleep medications don't actually promote natural sleep. They sedate you, creating an unconscious state that only superficially resembles sleep. Most sleep medications suppress deep, slow-wave sleep, the very thing declining in our population. Users trade quantity for quality, often without realizing it. It's like putting a bandage on a broken leg. You're covering up the symptom while the underlying problem worsens. Margaret's story is typical. I started on blood pressure medication in my late 40s, then cholesterol medication in my 50s, then acid reflux pills. Before I knew it, I was taking something for sleep too. By age 65, Margaret was taking 6 daily medications, all FDA approved, all prescribed by caring doctors, all slowly eroding her ability to achieve deep sleep. No doctor ever connected the dots. Each specialist just focused on their piece of the puzzle. A former pharmaceutical researcher who asked to remain anonymous told me something chilling. Sleep disturbance wasn't considered a serious side effect. In fact, for some medications, it was viewed as a feature, not a bug. Why wasn't this addressed? The answer might shock you, and it connects directly to our next culprit. In 1975, just 4% of Americans had a television in their bedroom. By 2000, 82%. Today, 97% of Americans use electronic devices within an hour of bedtime. The bedroom went from a sanctuary for sleep to an entertainment center. This single shift may represent the most dramatic change in human sleep behavior in all of history. The blue light emitted disrupts our circadian rhythm by suppressing melatonin, our sleep hormone, by up to 85%. For millions of years, humans experienced only 2 main light sources: the sun and fire, Neither contains the concentration of blue wavelengths found in modern screens. Our bodies evolved to use blue light as the primary signal for daytime, triggering alertness and wakefulness. When we expose ourselves to this same light at 11 p.m., we effectively tell our brains it's midday. The pineal gland, which releases melatonin, essentially shuts down when exposed to blue light. It's like trying to sleep with the sun shining directly on your face. But there's something even more sinister at play than just blue light. Modern content is specifically engineered to trigger dopamine responses that override natural sleep cues. The just one more episode phenomenon isn't an accident. It's by design. I spoke with a tech industry whistleblower who worked at a major tech company for 6 years. Our success metrics were all about engagement time, how long we could keep users on the platform, they confided. Sleep was the enemy of engagement. Internal documents from major streaming and social media companies reveal algorithms specifically designed to pique user interest just as they consider logging off, a technique industry insiders call the bedtime hook. Remember Margaret Thompson from earlier? Her late-night screen time increased from 0 minutes in 1978 to over 3 hours by 2020. It started with the evening news before bed, she recalled, then a small TV in the bedroom to watch Johnny Carson. Eventually, I got in the habit of scrolling through photos of the grandkids before sleeping. What Margaret didn't realize was that each of these seemingly innocent habits was systematically destroying her sleep architecture. When we tested Margaret in our sleep lab, her melatonin production was delayed by nearly 3 hours compared to her baseline in the 1970s. But here's the question nobody's asking. Who benefits when an entire generation stops sleeping? Americans now spend over $70 billion annually on sleep aids. The average senior spends $2,100 per year chasing the sleep they once got for free. Sleep has become one of the fastest-growing segments of the consumer health market. It's projected to reach $114 billion by 2027. From smart mattresses to subscription sleep apps, from melatonin gummies to weighted blankets, an entire industry has emerged around fixing our broken sleep. The cruel irony is that many of these products address symptoms while ignoring root causes. It's like selling increasingly sophisticated umbrellas while it continues to rain indoors. At some point, you need to fix the roof. Is it coincidence that as our sleep deteriorated, industries emerged to solve the very problem they helped create? Several of the largest food conglomerates that heavily utilize HFCS and sleep-disrupting additives have sister companies or subsidiaries in the sleep aid market. My investigation found 8 major corporations with significant stakes in both processed food production and sleep aids or medications. We've medicalized something that was once natural. Now we treat symptoms while ignoring causes. There's another beneficiary of America's sleep crisis: the always-on economy. From 1970 to today, late-night consumer spending has increased by over 700%. When people sleep less, they consume more. They're awake longer, browsing, watching, buying. Economically speaking, sleep is unproductive time. The percentage of Americans working night shifts has doubled since the 1970s. The number of 24-hour businesses has increased tenfold. We've created an economic system that incentivizes sleeplessness. When quarterly profits are the primary measure of success, no company benefits from customers getting a good night's sleep. So what happened to Margaret? After uncovering these interconnected forces, I designed an experiment. Could modern seniors reclaim the sleep of their youth? I recruited 50 volunteers over age 65, all reporting chronic sleep problems. For 30 days, they followed a protocol designed to reverse the changes I've documented. Margaret became part of our study. For 30 days, she eliminated processed foods, stopped taking non-essential medications after consulting her doctor, and banished screens from her bedroom. First week was tough, she admitted. I had headaches from the food changes. I felt bored without my phone at night. But by the second week, I started dreaming again. Really dreaming. I'd forgotten what that felt like. After 30 days, Margaret's deep sleep increased by 215%. Her need for sleep medications? Gone. And Margaret wasn't alone. 82% of our participants showed significant improvement. The most remarkable finding wasn't just improved sleep metrics, it was the cascade of health benefits that followed. Let me share the exact protocol that transformed their sleep. First, we eliminated all processed foods containing high fructose corn syrup, artificial sweeteners, and chemical additives. This wasn't about perfection, it was about returning to whole foods our bodies recognize. Participants ate fresh vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and quality proteins. Most importantly, we eliminated all food consumption after 7 p.m., giving the digestive system time to settle before sleep. Second, we created a strict electronic sundown policy. All screens, TVs, phones, tablets were turned off 90 minutes before bedtime. Instead, participants read physical books under warm light, listened to soft music, or engaged in gentle conversation. The bedroom became a sanctuary again. No TVs, no phones, no digital clocks with bright displays. Third, we examined medications. Working with their doctors, participants adjusted medication timing, taking stimulating medications in the morning and moving necessary but sedating medications to evening. Some found they could reduce dosages of certain medications once sleep improved. Fourth, we restored natural light rhythms. Participants got 30 minutes of morning sunlight daily and dimmed household lighting after sunset, using amber bulbs that don't suppress melatonin. Many were surprised to learn their bright LED household lighting was as disruptive as screens. Finally, we established consistent sleep and wake times, even on weekends. The body craves routine more than you might realize. Participants created personalized bedtime rituals that signaled to their bodies that rest was coming. The results were remarkable. Participants showed an average 18% decrease in blood pressure, 27% decrease in inflammatory markers, and significant improvements in memory tests. One participant told me, "I had more energy than I'd had in decades. My grandkids noticed the difference. They said I was fun again." What we witnessed wasn't just better sleep. It was a partial reversal of many aging biomarkers we typically consider inevitable. The implications were clear. A significant portion of what we attribute to normal aging might actually be the cumulative effect of disrupted sleep. We've been conditioned to believe that poor sleep is inevitable as we age. The evidence suggests otherwise. Our grandparents didn't sleep better because they were younger. They slept better because the forces disrupting our sleep hadn't yet mobilized. The good news? The path back to restorative sleep exists. I've compiled the exact protocol that transformed Margaret's sleep and the lives of hundreds like her. This isn't about perfect adherence to impossible rules. Even partial implementation of these changes can yield significant benefits. And while our focus has been on seniors, younger generations stand to benefit even more by implementing these changes before decades of disrupted sleep take their toll. I caught up with Margaret 1 year after our study. "I'm not perfect," she told me. "I still have ice cream sometimes. I check my phone more than I should. But I will protect my sleep now. I understand its value." Last week, my son took a picture of me with the grandkids. When I saw it, I didn't recognize myself at first. I looked younger. Not 20 years younger, but alive, present. That's what good sleep gives you back, your presence in your own life. Margaret's sleep patterns now closely resemble those from her 40s, proof that much of what we attributed to aging was reversible. The truth is, you weren't designed to live half awake, and it's never too late to reclaim the rest you deserve. Sleep isn't just about feeling rested, it's about being fully alive, present for the moments that matter, and having the energy to create the life you want. The generation that slept better in the 70s can sleep better again. And that's not just wishful thinking, it's science.